Alright folks, in this video we're going to be taking a final look at the GPD Win 5 with three separate powerful devices, and I'm basically trying to show what you get for the price you pay and why you would want to invest in something like the GPD Win 5 over a traditional laptop, well, a traditional gaming tablet, I would say, with the RTX 470. That's the Z13 Flow acronym. Let me just show you how cool this is. It's not for everyone, but this is the cyberpunk style Z13 Flow. I don't know if they still make this. It's a limited edition. I really like cyberpunk, and this thing is an absolute beast. It has an RTX 4070 mobile chip in it, with the Intel i9 something. You can look it up, but it's a very powerful device and I use it quite a bit, and I recently got it serviced, so it has a new motherboard, new battery, new everything, so it's pretty much brand new. And this is the X1 Pro, another of my favorite devices. Slightly larger. It's about 9, I think it's 10 inches, 9 inches or 10 inches. I think it's around 9 point something. I did review this and it's an excellent device. Really cool. Slightly heavy to hold given this form factor, but really cool device. It has the HX370, which is the current processor, what people call the Z2 Extreme. So it's basically a more powerful Z2 Extreme on it. And then we have the GPD Win 5, which is by far the most powerful iGPU in the market currently. So I'm just going to take one game as an example, and the game is going to be Starfield because I have it installed on everything. And just to give you an idea, this is not just about how powerful a device is, but also how portable it is. So we're going to start up Starfield on all of them, and I'm going to give you a good idea of what's going on with these devices in comparison. Alright, so we have Starfield running on all of these devices, and sorry, I think I got into a bit of combat here. Let me just reload. Alright, so I don't have the entire overlay on the Z13 Flow, but that is the RTX 4070, and in Aquila City it runs around, Aquila City being the most difficult place in the game, it runs around 42 to 43 FPS, and the graphics for all of these are high. So I forgot to mention, I'm running all of these devices on high, no FSR. So the preset is high with no FSR on all of these. So this is the HX 370, which is the Z2 Extreme, and all of these are on 1080p. So all these are 1080p. Sorry, I'm getting the focus wrong. Okay, so 1080p HX 370 or Z2 Extreme, it averages around 15 frames. This is at 30 watts. The max that the 1X Pro can go to is 30 watts. And so you can see MSI Afterburner is running at 1920, 1820. I think that is the hertz it runs at on the 4070, the mobile chip on this particular tablet, although I think it should be higher. It seems a bit low, I'm not sure, but it averages around 42 FPS in Aquila City. This is at night. During the day it may fluctuate a little more. And now let's go into the GPD Win 5, which will have quite a bit more info on this. So this too runs around 40, so you're getting around 2-3 frames difference, but for the most part it's the same. Also, this is in the daytime, so you are losing a frame or two, but my point is that this is a very heavy tablet. Even though it has an RTX 4070, it can't run the game any better than the GPD Win 5, which is a very small, light, portable device. So this is very powerful in that way. And if you look at the HX 370 over here, or the Z2 Extreme, this gets absolutely destroyed because this is not going to go below like anything above like 17 in a killer city. So this gets absolutely destroyed on this, and this is running at 30 watts, as you can see. There's simply no way a Z2 Extreme can compete with any of those devices. And while it's a good device for low-end games, I think the next generation of devices, which is that come after the Z2 Extreme, is what people would want to invest in. So that's that. We're going to get out of that one. And as for the Z Flow 13. Now there is a Z Flow 13 with the same chip as the GPD Win 5, but again, what you're going to be paying for is a very large device, I would say, in comparison to the GPD Win 5, which you can plug into a small OLED monitor. I do have a 11-inch or 12-inch OLED monitor, which I can plug it into. So it's much more convenient to have that. Now this, when I got the Z13 acronym, was around $3,000. I guess that was because it's a limited edition thing. The newer ones are cheaper. They have the A395. So depending on what you want, if you don't care much about the whole handheld thing, you probably want to go for the Z Flow. But it does have the same chip in the 2025 model. This is the RTX 4070. So that's that. So my point was that in compared to an RTX 4070 mobile, this is the 120 watt version. A GPD Win 5 is much more powerful. Of course, it's a much more pricier device than most devices, but that one was $3,000 when I got it. This one, it should start around 1,600, depends on what the market is right now. So in terms of power, the GPD Win 5 is very portable and a great device to get if you are somebody who values portability. You're going to be paying for portability and efficiency. That's the only reason you would invest in something like this. Also, this one is the 64 gig model. So if you by any chance are getting the device to run your LLMs or ChatGPT, Sora, and all that stuff, you probably want to go for the 128 GB model. That one would be much more suited for that stuff. Now, in my previous videos, I've done a bunch of gameplay videos and showed off a bunch of things with the GPD Win 5, and this was just a final overview in terms of performance to power. And by far, this is the most powerful device when it comes to this form factor. The few flaws that I did mention in my other videos, in the performance guide and some of the other videos, if you look previously, that being the mouse, optical mouse. Now, when you hold this, it does turn off the mouse, but every time you resume the device, the mouse turns back on. So there has to be a way to permanently turn it off. You can go to your device manager and turn off, but that solution is not very practical. So sometimes you do need it, unless you want to keep switching over here. So that's something maybe GPD would release if it's requested, to have permanent off even from resume. The other thing I did mention, this was particular to my device, is that when you lock this, when you put it up, the response on this, it doesn't work properly on the upper part. The response only works in the lower part for some reason. So that's got to do with the rubber inside. Now this is this is only in my device. This is not going to be in every single handheld. So this is just particular to me, but it works fine when the flap is down, which is the long press key. So that's not much of an issue. Now the other thing that I noticed from my tests, which unfortunately I did not put in my performance guide, which I should have, had to do with sound. Now, the way the device, the GPD Win 5, comes to you with the default DTS tuning, it's very, very poorly done. The DTS is not properly done at all. So you probably have to fix that manually, and it's pretty easy. It's just an EQ setting, which I am going to show over here. The GPD Win 5 comes with DTS Ultra, so it's this one. If you type DTSX, you'll get DTSX Ultra. And what you want to do to get it set up right is you want to go to voice. You have to click on voice, and then on the top you just click on the graphic equalizer. Now these are my settings, as you can see over here, and the reason they're set up this way is because 11 hertz, my bad, sorry, it's a bit sensitive. Alright, so the reason it's set up this way is because if you see 11 hertz is kind of broken on the DTS X app. I'm not sure if this is just the app or it's how the sound is engineered. The speakers are fine, it's not the speaker, it's just how they've engineered the sound. 11 hertz is not right on this, it doesn't sound right at all, so it has to be modified this way to give you the proper bass and the treble frequency. If you have these settings, you will get a really big sound stage. It doesn't fix everything, but it gives you a very good balance of sound, and almost pretty close to what the Steam Deck has. So you have to do that. And another thing that I did miss, unfortunately, was that, let me just pull this up a bit. What you want to do is, once you get this device, you should enable hibernate mode, which is in your settings, and you just type lid, and then you click on change what closing the lid does, and once you click that, you'll get these settings over here. You may have to click enable, my bad, change with administrative permissions, and you can click hibernate. So you'll have the hibernate option, and what you want to do is push the power button down to hibernate in power and battery mode. So every time you power off the device, it'll just go to hibernate, and while you're in hibernate, you can swap your battery, so it's not an issue at all. You can just take out your battery, you can plug it in, everything that you were playing will stay the same, and when you resume it, it'll be the same. So nothing's going to change that way. Those are the two settings that I wanted to add to my previous performance guide. But on the whole and all, I'm very impressed with this device. It's pretty much replaced most of my other devices. I do have a RTX 5080 and a 5090, and no, I don't have the 5090 anymore. I have the 5080 now. So I don't use that anymore because this pretty much does everything I require it to do for the most part. Also, the other thing is there's the BIOS update, which optimizes the performance for the eGPU. If you have an eGPU, I do have an eGPU, but there's really no point to doing it unless you're running a crypto farm or something like that. There's no reason to be using an eGPU. This is powerful enough to handle most of the stuff. And this is going to be my final take on the Win 5 for the most part. I don't think I have any other gripes about this device. The next device that I'll probably try to get my hands on is the Apex, but I don't think that's coming till 2026. Also, there are a few people who may consider this a bit too well, the right word would be cumbersome compared to the Nintendo Switch 2, and that is true. Compared to the Nintendo Switch 2, which I have, I'll just show you that. So here's the Nintendo Switch 2. So you can see the Nintendo Switch 2 is a very thin and light device. However, the Nintendo Switch 2 is the backside, the grips aren't that good, so you probably want to use third-party controllers for that. And also, when I take a look at both of these, I find that this is a much more comfortable device than the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to the grips, and of course it weighs quite a bit more if you're using the battery, but surprisingly this gives you better battery life than the Nintendo Switch 2 if you are running it at a lower wattage. So depending on what you're looking for, this might be a better device in the long run, but the Switch 2 definitely has the ease of use factor, where you don't have to deal with Windows. I think they call it Horizon. They have Horizon OS. The selection of games is, well, the selection of games on the Switch 2, and I have a bit of a gripe on that, is I have a very large Switch 1 library, and the Switch 1 games look very, very bad on the Switch 2. That's because this is a 1080p screen, and the games run mostly at 720, which causes many of the games to look extremely blurry on the Switch 2, and that is a major issue. So it kind of cuts off most of the games that I do want to play. And in conclusion, the GPD Win 5 is an excellent Steam OS or Windows OS gaming handheld, and this is definitely the one you should get. If my dog's barking. So if you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you dislike it, go and dislike it. But thank you for watching.